Good evening. This is Peter Resnicek from Weekly Options Advisory at ShadowTrader.net. I think that the holy grail for all traders would obviously be to only have winning trades and not have losing trades. But this is a fallacy, obviously, and a fantasy, and is something that is never, ever going to happen to any trader. So the best that we can do is to try to maximize winning trades, minimize losing trades, both in amount, but also in frequency, right? We want to have as many winning trades as we can and as few losing trades as we can as well. And the best way to do this, and why a lot of traders fail at doing this, is that they don't really understand when to put their foot on the gas and when to take their foot off the gas. So that's why I purposely titled this video, Do Only What Works. And obviously that's easier said than done. And nobody and none of us, including myself, are going to be able to achieve that perfectly every time. But if we work hard to move towards that, I think that our trading results will improve measurably. And so what I'm talking about specifically is, if you look at the small handful of stocks that have been a driver of this market recently, like think of the stocks that people have been excited about, etc., they're not really moving right now. And that's why I started this chart with an hourly of NVIDIA, where I'm starting the video here. Look at how NVIDIA has just kind of balanced out. The entire move here happened on the earnings gap. And then basically in the first hour of trade, right? And then it was dead sideways, and there was another gap, but then it filled the gap quickly. It hasn't really moved much. So to be initiating a new position right now in NVIDIA, or to be wrestling with some sort of a position that maybe you put on at bad location after they already reported, doesn't really make a lot of sense. And you're just going to be kind of spinning your wheels at not getting anywhere. Another one that's been hot recently has been SMCI, Super Micro Computer Incorporated. They had this amazing run recently from about 350 up to this 700 area. I'm only showing you the hourly so you don't see all of that. But then there was this huge gap up. But look what's happened since then, right? You had this huge gap and run. Then it came down to earth, kind of right where the gap began. But look what's happened over the last couple of sessions. Absolutely nothing, right? So again, there's people out there, I'm sure, that are forcing trades and getting chopped up, and it's probably not working for you, okay? Another example that I can think of is if I start looking at some of the Fangman plus T, which are my favorite stocks to look at, they're not also really not moving right now to the upside. Like if I switch this on Apple over to let's take a 6 month of Apple, right? What is going on? It's just a slow grind lower down into this support area. Most people are trading from the long side, and especially in tech, that makes most sense. But it's not really happening right now at this juncture. Google, look at today's candle. Big red candle to the downside, kind of ugly, also coming down into support. Let's look at a couple others like Netflix. Oops. Netflix, look at the consolidation. Very, very sideways, not moving. Again, probably people trapped somewhere in here and trying to fight it. This can be very bad for your account if you're doing it in options as well and you have debits, because time is basically working against you. And last but not least, Tesla, which a lot of people were kind of excited about today, but in the technical picture, it hasn't really moved out of range. You have this attempt at gap fill here that kind of keeps failing. It's trying to get up here to at least fill the gap. But what type of price action do we really have? Very, very choppy back and forth price action that's one day up and one day down, which leads me to the broad market as well. If you look at the NDX and the SPX really briefly, again, it looks to me like we are in a period of consolidation here, just kind of stuck. We failed to make it up to the trend channel, not really going anywhere in the NDX. Could be about a 50-50 in terms of going higher or lower. And the S&P has started to roll over a little bit as well. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything bearish going on out there, but you get my point. Things aren't really working that much. So to that end, as I was saying, if you can try to focus on what's working and be heavier in those trades and much lighter in everything else, that would make a lot of sense. So right now at this particular juncture, exactly today on the Monday, Feb 26th, when I'm making the video, what is the new big thing that's working? Well, it would have to be crypto, right? We had the huge breakout in BTC today. Look at this. We had the tight consolidation in here, never even came down to 50,000. I had all kinds of buy limit orders on Bitcoin starting at in the 51 and below, whatever. Nothing got filled. I put orders in, I changed them, I thought we'd get a little bit of a flush. It never lost the 8. Nothing was filled. So look what happened in Bitcoin today. Huge push above the consolidation breakout. And what is that doing? That's powering all of the stocks that are involved in mining and, of course, MSTR, right? So to sort of put my money where my mouth is, I wanted to show you is that, I run this advisory, weekly options, and we generally have anywhere from 6 to 8, sometimes as many 10 trades open. Right now, we only have 4 trades open. And look at what they're made up of. MSTR, crypto, MSTR again, PANW, this one's a risk reversal. That is in tech. We'll see how that goes. And the 4th trade is Mara, which is also in, that's all the way down here, 1402, long Mara, which is Marathon Holding, which is also what? Just Bitcoin, right? We actually have long the 13 calls from an average of about $10.50. Those calls are now trading well over $17, right? So you can see that I just naturally tend to gravitate towards what's working because I have a very strong radar, I think, for basically what's not working. I have a very good feel for the broad market. And when things are just kind of slowing down or getting into consolidation, I tend to shy away from plays. I'll get aggressive like this on stuff that is working. But again, I will do very little to nothing in the rest of the market when it's not working. All right. And so one of the things you want to look for in terms of signal for that is really, really easy. Is you want to be thinking of some of the signposts, many of which I talk about in the Pre-Market Perspective newsletter every single morning, in terms of what is the market doing in terms of value, price, et cetera, et cetera. And so the broad market itself, we just look at futures, is also kind of really just telegraphing this. If you were day trading futures over the last couple of days, it probably hasn't been all that lucrative for you because look at what the price action has been. We actually should put this more on an hourly here just to show a few days. And here's a 5-day chart of the hourly in the ES. And look at how much chop there is sideways just within these days from Feb 22 here. Okay, and a lot of this is overnight action, don't get me wrong, but of course a lot of it is RTH. Wherever you see the big volume, that's RTH. It's really not moving. Very little has happened. And so all stocks are going to, more or less follow the market. You have 90% of stocks or so following the market. It's probably not going to be happening either. So NQ, same thing, a little bit weaker. This has been a period recently over the last few days where the NASDAQ seems to be lagging in the ES, a little bit weaker. But there's really nothing here that you can point to on this chart that would indicate all-out weakness or a signal that you should get heavily bullish or heavily bearish, right? So I would say take it easy out there. Know when to take your foot off the gas. And when you do see things that are working, such as the mining stocks, MSTR, like, as I said, is a great example, absolutely on fire today. Mara is another one. I think Mara was up like 20% today, right? I mean, it was moving from 24 up to 29. That's $5. Yeah, that's like 20%. I mean, big moves in these stocks that are following crypto. Crypto is basically what's happening right now. So you want to kind of stick to that. And when the market gives a better signal as to, that you should be doing something there, you'll start to see big changes in price that, for instance, break technical levels. You'll have alerts set. You're going to take out downtrends. You're going to see, for instance, something like Apple do a big reversal in one day, and it'll completely change the trajectory in the stock, maybe, right? But we're just not seeing that right now. All right. You're going to move out of this area, for instance, and like I'll give you an example. What would make me change my mind just on this stock? Well, I know I've got downtrend here and here. Okay, so if I traded 185, okay, now the foot is back on the gas, right? Because I know we're probably going to here. Simple stuff like that sort of gives you signposts to shoot for. And again, know when you should be aggressive, when you should not be aggressive, and what sectors or types of stocks you should be aggressive in. Hey, this is Peter from ShadowTrader.net, and I just wanted to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you'd like to trade live with me every day in my weekly options advisory, then check out the link in the description below. I wish you good trading, and I'll see you in the room.